In this video, I'm going to show you how to display the statistics of particles. So apparently, in order to display their statistics, you have to select the particles. So the first thing you need to do is to check this selection box. So once you have done that, you can now try this: select all the particles or select none of them. So if you, for example, if I select all of the particles in this image, I want to see their stats in the table here. You have to click Show Stats. So right now it shows a table that's all the particles in this image. So in the stats, we can pick up different fields. So there are multiple columns there, but too many, so you don't necessarily want to see them. So one thing you can do is you can click the fields and then just pick up the field that you want to see. For example, I want to see the particle number, the image name, and the volume, maybe the intensity, well, maybe fiber length, maybe the maximum intensity. So that's what I want to see. So right now, there you go. So you have the image name there, and then you have the particle number. The particle number will represent the same numbers that's labeled on these particles. You can rearrange the columns. For example, you can move it around, and well, that's pretty much that. And if you want to get a histogram of a specific parameter, for example, like the volume, what you can do is you can just click a single cell and see the histogram is shown up in the bottom in this axis. If you just want to show like not that many, this is basically is all the data in this column. If you just want to show like from 1 to like 20, you can click press Shift key in your keyboard and then click select all these only 20 rows, and the histogram will only show the statistics, the histogram, the statistics of that 20 rows. So you can also see from this table here, the selected is only 20, and all of them is 48. There are 48 rows, but I only select 20, and the histogram will reflect 20. Um, the statistics of the 20 rows. If you want to show the fiber, all you need to do is to click any cell in the fiber length column, then you show up. Although you only select one, but the histogram will show you all 48 the histogram of all 48 particles. So the trick is that if you select less than 11, then the histogram will reflect all the particles, all 48 particles. If you select more than 11, for example 12, see, then the histogram will change to reflect the histograms of 12 particles. So if it's less than 11, it will reflect the histogram of all the particles, but if it's more than 11, then it will reflect the histogram of all the particles. If your particle are if the number of your particles are fewer than 11, then it won't show any histogram because it's not meaningful. So the other thing you can do with this, for example, if I don't want to show the maximum intensity, you can simply right-click this and say hide the selected columns. Or you can, if you just want to only to show this maximum intensity, you can click show only selected columns. You can multiple choice. You can select multiple columns by use the Control key or Shift key when you press these. So then you can hide all 3 columns. I only show all 3 columns. So for example, I only show all 3 columns. So only all these 3 columns are shown there. And that's basically the same thing as if you click the fields option. If you want to see like more than that, then you just expand the fields that you want to show. So you can also manipulate the histogram. For example, right now I have the histogram of the fiber length. It does not have enough bins, and then you can basically input a number of bins, or you can also use the slider bar, which give you some nice controls. So that's pretty neat. You can also export these histogram to a in your new figure. So just give you a blown up view, which you can do all kinds of operations. So yeah, there's some kind of let me write down something for now. Excuse me. All right. So right now I'm only selecting the particles in this one image. If you want to select particles in all the images, you can check this box, select apply to all. In this case, when you click all the particles, you basically select particles in all the images. Right now we have like about 7 images. So the table has not been updated to reflect all the particles in all images, so it's still have only 58 particles. To reflect all the particles in all the images, you have to uncheck this box called all images. So once you check that, your table is correctly reflected. Now you have 250 particles, and your histogram is much more statistical relevant. So you can also check the individual particle stats. So right now the table is showing you the selected particles. If you double click a particle, you should be able to select that one particle. Especially if you so right now only if you double click the one particle, it only select that particle in this image. So if you uncheck our image, so right now in this one image, you only select one particle. So you double click again, another particle, you only show the stats of that specific particle. So that's useful if you just want to see one particle at a time but not see all the particles. The other way you can do it is you can show the stats of the marked particles instead of the selected particles. For example, you don't want to mess up with your selections, you can just view the stats of the masked particles. To do that, you check this box and you click marked. In that case, we have 2 marked particles in this image. Right now, you're only viewing the stats of the 2 masked particles. So even though if you can select all of the particles from all the images, like check all the images, you only see 2 particles because only 2 particles are marked. Now if you go back to selected, then that will be the 250 particles from all the images. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. It's so much for the how to view particle statistics in Particle Analyzer.